Children often aren't short of nous in a tricky situation. When the heat's on, they can have more sense than us oldies. Kia ora, I'm Philip Alpers. Welcome to Heroes, the program where we celebrate real-life bravery here in New Zealand. Tonight, an 11-year-old girl relies on school safety lessons, trying to save her family in a house fire, and terrified of heights, one tough pig hunter dangles from a cliff face. Help! Your home's on fire. Everything you've worked so hard to own is about to burn. What's your first thought? Possessions? Here's a sobering tale about the instincts of a young girl and how in those few crucial seconds she got it right. Actors recreate the real-life story of Mary Rose Kereopa. It was the 6th of July 1994. In Rotorua, Joyce Kereopa was rescuing her washing from a cold southerly. A Cook Islander who'd lived in Rotorua most of her life, Joyce had saved hard. She was very proud of her home, the house she'd managed to buy 4 years earlier. Tonight, Joyce's 11-year-old daughter, Mary Rose, had a favourite friend over for the night, her niece, Taimoana.
Well, she's 5, and she's just special to me. Very special.
We're nice and cosy beside the fire. The house was nice and warm, and we only had a T-shirt, and we were quite happy. And watching the TV, of course, and everything else.
Joyce had thought about a house fire. She'd installed smoke alarms at each end of the hall. She knew they worked. Every so often they'd squawk at the smell of cooking. But that night, a faulty electric blanket began to smoulder in a bedroom, and the door to the hall was closed.
Beach appeared out of nowhere.
What on earth? That came from the bedroom. Right there, honey. We'll be right back.
Mary Rose saw it.
Mum, don't!
But Joyce didn't suspect a fire.
Don't! Mum, push shut the door! I'm trying!
Flame just flew at me. That room was just a ball of fire, and the fire had already gone through the ceiling.
When Mum opened the door, and I really thought that she had gone, that she had been burnt real bad.
Mary Rose hit the floor and went straight for Taimoana. Mum wasn't doing so well. In deep shock, she tried to fill the bath to fight the fire.
I couldn't think where I was going to go and get the bucket and the pot or whatever. I couldn't think. And you can't stop it. You cannot stop it. It's absolutely frightening.
In the far room, 5-year-old Taimoana was watching the smoke and waiting, while her 11-year-old auntie was still doing almost everything right.
Fire! 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 Back to the fire! Through my street, hurry! I panicked on the phone, but after that I knew what to do, and I ran in to get my niece.
Come on, Taimoana, we've got to get out of here. I'm too scared. Look, I've got a jacket that protects you. Don't have to move. Where's the ladder?
She knew how vital it was to stay low, to breathe only the air close to the floor. She could have just saved her niece, but halfway to the door, Mary Rose decided to go back into the fire.
You stay here, Taimoana, and I'll go get Mum. Mum, where are you? Mum!
But Joyce could hear only the roar of the flames. She wasn't thinking straight, and panic could very soon cost her life.
Burnt paper and that was falling down, and I had to dodge them when I went in to get my mum.
One of the firefighters dispatched that night, already fearing he'd be too late to help, was Trevor Andreas.
We're talking seconds here, and that's how quickly a tragedy can develop. Because all the time that fire is producing heat and smoke, and the breathable level of air is gradually dropping down and down and down all the time over seconds. And within a minute, 2 minutes, that place was fully, unbreathable, unlivable, untenable.
In a matter of just 2 or 3 minutes, a cosy family home in Rotorua became a blistering furnace. Young Mary Rose Keriopa had pushed her niece to a safer place. Now she was going back to save her mother, lost in smoke.
By then, you know, the smoke was about this high, I suppose. You know, we had to really get underneath because it was so strong that your eyes water, you know, and it really sting.
They were all in flames and the carpet was on fire and all that. And I told her to dodge, but it was on fire.
When we got to the door, there was another struggle. She unlocked the door and I was locking it and she was unlocking it and we were fumbling at the door and she told me off.
At last they burst into the fresh air. There was nothing to do then but to watch as their home burned. The firefighters who finally did quench the flames that night were full of praise for Mary Rose Keriopa, the 11-year-old who remembered what she'd been told to do in a fire.
They were in a really dangerous and severe situation there. It wasn't just like a bit of smoke floating around in the house. That was dangerous. You know, they could have so easily been killed. But Mary Rose, she could have been running around in that smoke and perhaps got to the exit and just been totally had it. Very often victims are found at the exit. Because she'd been crawling around low under the smoke, she had enough physical strength and mental alertness to put her hands up and actually pull that latch off. And in a panic situation, people just don't do that. They perish.
I'd describe it like it was freaky. It's like going on a roller coaster that doesn't have any end.
Praise and commendations came from around the country for the girl who'd saved her family. Mary Rose proudly told the press she'd learnt fire rescue at primary school when local firefighters taught her class to stop, drop and roll.
Mary Rose, because of who she is and the knowledge she had from the Stop, Drop and Roll program, enabled them to escape.
If I never knew how to do anything, all of us would have been gone. And I was glad that I was still alive.
Oh, I'm proud of her. I'm really proud of her. Proud that she listened.
If we didn't have any fire brigades going to our school and teaching us, and it happened to us again, happened to other people, they wouldn't know what to do. Kids wouldn't know what to do.
While they're still at primary school, most Kiwi kids get a visit from the local fire service. Mary Rose listened to that safety lesson, and at the moment her family needed her most, she knew exactly what to do. Here again are the 3 important rules for children, for all of us to learn about house fires. If you get caught in a fire, crawl under smoke. In a house fire, smoke is the biggest killer, but right down close to the floor, the air is so clear that you can breathe it. If your house catches fire, get out fast. Run next door to phone 111. That way you get help much more quickly. And if your clothes catch fire, stop, drop and roll. You can't run away from burning clothes, so stop where you are and put the flames out by rolling on them. As you've just seen in the story of Mary Rose Keriopa, even an 11-year-old can remember those rules and save lives. 30 years ago, the far north was a pig hunter's dream. Rough bush, not too many hunters, and plenty of wild boar. But cliff-top pig sticking isn't the safest activity for a man who's scared of heights. What follows is the true story of Boy Yates. It was May 1962, just south of Cape Reinga. Boy Yates was 30 and already a father of 5. But with him that day were Gordon Maheno, he was 14, and his mate Robert Harrison, 15. The 2 youngsters were exhausted after a good shoot.
Come on, boys, this ain't no Sunday afternoon pig hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, come on. Hey, Cootie, head away. Come on, head away.
Boy Yates was a bit of a character, well known in the far north and well respected too. He loved the hard-working farming life, and he often gave youngsters like Gordon and Bob a chance to work on the farm, plus as many weekends as he could manage up in the wilderness chasing pigs. This time they'd been hunting Te Paki Station. By late afternoon, the three men were heading for the road. As far as they were concerned, the expedition was over, and even Boy was eager to get home and put his feet up. But the dogs had other ideas.
Come on, they got a stick, come on!
They smelt another pig.
Here it is! Here it is!
It didn't take long. The dogs chased the boar onto the beach, and the men dispatched it pretty quickly. But it was getting late, and now they'd committed themselves to a long, steep climb before they could relax into Boy's Land Rover.
Yeah, I'll carry him back, don't worry.
Better start heading back, eh? It looks like the wind's gonna pack him.
But once again, the dogs had other ideas.
Oh, you mongrels! Get back here! Stupid animals. Bobby and I might shoot up that way. We better catch those dogs. You coming?
Gordon and Bobby opted to climb pretty well straight up, but Boy Yates had two fears in life: mice and heights.
Hell no, you won't catch me going up there. I'll go round. I'll see you back at the van.
Can see you there, eh?
Righto.
Sure, it'd be slower, but Boy did have a decent-sized tusker to lug home.
Yeah, mongrel dog, get back here!
He knew there was a route home which guaranteed a slow, easy climb. The problem was he might not be able to make it that way before nightfall.
Where the heck are those dogs?
It's gonna hose down in a minute, come on!
Boy Yates was torn between his wish to avoid steep cliffs and the possibility of a fall, and his increasingly urgent need to get back to the road by the quickest route possible. He didn't like it, but there wasn't much choice.
What's the guns?
Move in! Better wait here for Boy.
Hey, I wonder how old Boy's getting along.
For a man terrified of falling, Boy was getting on pretty well. He was immensely strong and fit, but even then he knew that pride and a dead pig could soon be the end of him. On the other hand, leaving a good boar behind would really go against the grain.
Boy's probably bagged another porker.
Yeah, one wasn't heavy enough.
High on the cliff, in a worsening storm, Boy Yates had more sense than his two young mates gave him credit for. He'd decided to ditch the pig. It made him sick just to look down. And what's more, his rock face was rapidly turning into a waterfall. On the other side, the boys were starting to worry as well.
Where do you think Boy's got to?
Don't know.
Boy Yates was living a nightmare all his own.
All the way up that cliff, that was my concern. I'm not going to make it. I was frightened to look under my arm here because I could look straight down at the sea and hear the sea crashing below. And that's what I thought. I'd end up like that wild pig.
Things that go bump in the night. The old building was coming back to life in more ways than one. Spectacular tales of the unexplained.
I believe that there's something here.
We call them spirits. That was
Three pig hunters on a Northland beach, night falling, and a long hike home. The two youngest safely climb the cliffs, but father of five, boy Yates, takes another route with his precious pig, only to end up stranded, high on a rock face, horrified at the height, in pelting rain. There wasn't much option. His only way out was up. But first, his boots. Boy reckoned he'd get more grip without them. But bare feet didn't change the shape of the cliff. But after 2 hours, high and drenched, boy Yates reckoned it was time to yell out for a bit of a hand.
Help! Help! What was that? It's just the wind. No, it's not. Listen.
By this time I was getting really desperate. My hands were bleeding, my feet were bleeding.
Gordon! Tommy! Hear that? Help!
And the one thing he could not get out of his mind was the sight of that tumbling, broken pig.
Help! Help! Here it is again! It's Boy! Sounds like he's in trouble. Leave him there! Get in! Help! Gordon! Tommy!
I felt like there was an angel coming from heaven, boy. I was glad.
G'day, boy. What are you doing down there? Hey, where's our pig? Catch you back at the Land Rover. Go, Bobby. Bobby! Gordon! Get me out of here! I'm stuck! What are we gonna do?
We were being cheeky, you know. Then he starts swearing, and then we get serious, you know. But then we realised then that he was really stuck, you know. He was really in a spot of bother.
Make a rope!
It wasn't much of a rope. It wasn't even the beginning of the legend of the Swan Dry. But the two bush jackets did give the boys something to hold on to.
Who's going down? I'll go! Hold on, Gordon! Watch it now!
Boy Yates had done a very common thing. Scared and wet, he'd frozen to the rock face and refused to go up or down. That's probably what saved him. It's certainly that which gave his mates enough time to rescue him.
You okay, man? You okay? You okay, man?
Oh, we had a rest and a bit of it, and then had a good laugh about it and started joking, so we should have left him there, we should have checked his pockets for his wallet first and all the rest of it, you know, the usual jokes. Made him promise he'd shout us a few beers at the pub, and then he said not to tell anyone. He says, don't tell him about this. He's a bit embarrassed about it.
if it was him or anybody else again, you know, given the same circumstances, I think we'd probably do the same thing anyway. Because when you haven't got any resources or whatever, you find the strength and just make use of whatever's there available and do your best.
One act, I can sum it all up. They're the biggest heroes in my life. I thought straight away, these are the fellas. I recognise them right through my life, and I'll never forget them for what they done. And I definitely know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for these boys. They're men, not boys, I'm sorry.
It's been 33 years, but none of the trio has ever gone back to that cliff top. Gordon still goes hunting, but recently, when he went looking, the land had changed so much he couldn't even find the spot. I'm Philip Alpers. Join me again next week for more tales of genuine Kiwi courage on Heroes.
The hit flicks continue with a couple of guys